And welcome back. Now, I wasn't going to do a review on Ori and the Blind Forest. There's heaps of that out already, and obviously it's very popular. But the more I played it, the more it seemed like my personal feelings and my personal experience on it kind of didn't exactly mix as well as I'd thought. I was really hyped up for Ori and the Blind Forest. It looked like an amazing game, visually and narratively, and just perfecting that, platforming mechanics, jumping, lots of other things to do, the tight RPG elements. I was just really looking forward to that. I love platforming. I've always have loved platforming, but it's really hard to find that really polished, tight platformer that's a whole package, and also ones that don't fall into the same issues and tropes that I tend to dislike. And while Ori does do a great job, it still does have those elements that make me want to throw a controller at the screen and break my keyboard in half. That sort of stuff. And I'm sure if you've played Ori, you're well aware of just how frustrating it can be. Now, that's the part I wanted to talk about. I love difficult games, especially difficult platformers, and Ori does this really well. You've got these really tight mechanics to use, from jumping and bashing and diving and ducking and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of those areas just ask you to do that. You weave those skills in and out between each other. Just try and get that optimal path working, and you might have to replay that a few times to, get it perfect, get it right. But I don't mind that. I like, trying to perfect my pathing, trying to perfect my performance in these parts. That's what I love about it. But there are times in this game that take that to the extreme, and that's where it stops becoming that difficult fun, that difficult you want to master, to the frustrating kind that just wants you to walk away from this game because it has annoyed you that much. And that's not good. No one wants that. And there are a few places. I remember early on in that, I think it's the second area, where it starts giving you a couple more mechanics to use and that sort of stuff. But it seems like there's just such a huge difficulty curve there. It goes from this cute, quaint puzzler, a little bit of shooting here and there, jumping around, having fun, that sort of stuff, nothing too dangerous, to, oh my God, this area is murdering me. And it's that sharp difficulty curve that really hits you. Now, I got through that. I wanted to get through that. I was really interested in the game, but I can see moments like that really turning off anyone that's not, say, interested or skilled in platformers. They're going to hit that difficulty curve. They're going to go, fuck this shit. I've got other games to play, and that's it. It doesn't follow those great difficult curves of, say, games like Portal, where you're constantly learning new things, and it's just that slight extra difficulty, but you keep on learning and you keep getting better, and then they keep giving you more challenges. Now, Ori does that, but it's that first area that it just, bam, here's some challenge, you have to get through this. And that's not exactly right. There's a few other times throughout the maps where it throws this at you as well, where you need perfect twitch responses, you need perfect movement, you need perfect simultaneous use of skills. And that's at moments where you haven't done that before, you haven't done that to that extent and that difficulty. Far from it. And it's those moments that are really the make or break for the game and for the gameplay. As I said, I liked it and I got through that, and eventually I felt really good because I had completed those moments, you know what I mean? But in that exact moment, I was raging so hard. There were many swear words at the screen, over and over and over and over and fucking over again. And that's what happens. Now, the other part of it that I absolutely hate with all platformers, I wish they would just get rid of this altogether, done by, is those silly timed levels where you have to go as fast as you possibly can and get through this area, and you have to get through at a set time, otherwise you're going to die and have to repeat it from that start again. And some of those moments, I know there's quite a few of them, especially those, those set piece moments just after a big experience and narrative moment has happened where you obviously need to escape, and it throws you into this gauntlet where you just have to keep going as fast as you can, and you keep messing up over and over and over again because I don't want to be pushed that fast, you know what I mean? I want to, with a platform, I want to analyze the situation. I want to know where I've got to go, what I'm doing, and then try and execute that. I don't want to have to go now. It's just, that's not what I like. And another element that really frustrated during this moment, and also in other parts of the game, is that it likes throwing things at you that you will never ever be aware of or couldn't possibly understand is coming. Like, I remember floating up this area and it's like, oh, sorry, you were on the left side of that cavern. You're going to die now. And that sort of thing. It's the unavoidable deaths, especially when you have to restart your progress, that just, that's that frustration border. That's going from difficult fun to frustrating idiocy. And there were so many moments like that. Even just in normal levels, there was this part where, a big rock comes slamming down every time you go into that one little area. And obviously, once you know it's there, you can avoid it. But those first few times, it just, bam, you're dead. Start again. And that brings up an issue too. I eventually got over it and I don't consider it too much of an issue. But in your first part, those save points and just using your energy and personally saving, that's a real moment of frustration because in the beginning, it's a very limited resource. You're not as apt with the game. You don't know exactly what to expect. You don't save as often. And of course, then you die and it puts your progress back heaps. Like, even if you've explored an area and gotten those really hard to reach little orbs, for your progression, and then you've died in there, you have to repeat that all over again. And that's just crazy. I mean, there should be, I understand why they wanted to do it, that, and I got used to it in the end because I know, okay, this is going to be a hard spot. I'm going to save here. But then I had the energy to spare and it wasn't an issue to save. And it gave the health benefits as well. But in that beginning, it was just a bit silly. And I think maybe they should have had those special difficult orbs that you get. That should have been a saving moment as well. Just to, kind of help out the player a little bit. You don't always have to be Dark Souls, fuck you, that's why. That's not good game design in my mind anyway. But yeah, like I said, I got used to it in the end, and it was actually a very helpful mechanic. I can see like a save point system not working in those later levels because you actually save pretty often, but you have the energy to do it. And then at the end, you also have quite quick paths in and out of areas. So it's not an issue to go, okay, I'm going to go there now, come back up again. I can save everywhere and it's quickly, quick movement around that place. And that's it. But in the beginning, it just seems way too restrictive and frustrating. The other element tied into, say, the save point system is just how open those maps are. Like, a lot of the platformers I do play, and especially like my favorite, Rayman Legends, it's, you've got tight levels, it's one contained level, and then you move on to the next, and then you move on to the next. And, you can show your difficulty quite easily with that. This is difficult, this is a 2nd star difficulty, that's a 3rd star, and you have that element of progression in what areas to go to. But here, with that huge open map, to explore and to get into and try and find all those secrets. At first, it's quite confusing. It's quite, I would go close to say annoying because it's really hard to get in and out of areas. It takes you always to the bottom of a space and then expects you to get back out again. And it seems more like a time filler than actual gameplay. Because you're always going past the same traps, you're always going past those same respawning monsters, and sometimes you just want to get where you're going. I understand how they wanted the whole progression system to be, you know, you've got this skill now, go back to that space, repeat that, you know, area and get those special orbs, grow as, you know, your character grows. That's great. I do like that. But there doesn't need to be, I don't know, it's so spread out, and those annoying ass monsters that in the end are just there as a time filler. They're not going to hurt you. They're not going to worry you. You just keep running through them. But it's just that kind of annoying aspect that I think they could have got rid of in those later stages, especially when you're trying to traverse different areas and get those progression parts. Now, the last thing I'll talk about is this, I guess, the story. And I'm not great at talking about story elements. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I like completing acts. I like challenging myself. I like focusing on the mechanics. But I don't know, the story really kind of filled out the entire experience. It was a great backdrop to the game and to the mechanics. It kept that movement and progression going from area to area. You understood what you were doing. It was tied in very well to the maps and the areas and just those special interest points. It was, not to mention, quite emotional as well. Now, I cry quite often, but I didn't cry at this one. It didn't get that far for me. But it has that strong emotional element that really gets you engaged and immersed in the experience. And the characters, I really enjoyed those characters, even if it was a bit pulling on specific tropes that are quite overused. It was still done quite well. And weirdly enough, even the evil character, the antagonist, I even felt for him, which is, or her, I'm not sure, her probably, which is so much more than I feel in most games these days, especially the AAA fare. Like an owl, an evil owl, and I was emotionally attached to this person. How is that possible? But anyway, in the end, it's, I guess, not a game I would actually recommend to anyone. If you're not interested in platformers, it's not going to be for you. Even if you're not interested in difficult platformers, then I wouldn't tend to recommend it either. It's really quite an acquired taste. If you love that sort of thing, then it's going to be a great moment. But there's so many little elements here that I can see putting people off. I eventually enjoyed it and I eventually really got into the experience, but that's eventually. And there's going to be those moments that really just tend to turn people off, and they're not going to either finish the experience, come back to the experience, or, you know, challenge themselves enough to get better at the experience. And like I've seen in the comments on some of my other videos, it's quite a divisive game for that. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it with a passion, and that's okay. I think that's one of the strengths. It's not another bland platformer. We've got millions of those. It's just it's just Ori and the Blind Forest. It's just what it is. Thanks everyone. If you have any thoughts or comments, leave it in the comment section, or what game to play next, because I have no idea. Peace out.